Today we're talking about the Baião on vibraphone. And as usual, we first have to answer the question, what is a Baião? Baião comes from the northeast of Brazil and is part of the forró tradition. There are multiple musical styles that fit into the forró tradition. We're just going to stick with Baião today, though. In the 1940s and 50s, with the likes of Luiz Gonzaga and Jackson do Pandeiro, the style became more popular across the rest of Brazil. And I'm going to highlight one particular album that made it international, and that is the 1967 album Quarteto Novo. This album was fronted by Hermeto Pascoal and included Geraldo Dumanchi, Theo de Barros, and the legendary Airto as well, great Brazilian percussionist. This album spread across the world and lots of musicians have cited it as an inspiration. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find it on streaming and such in the United States, but it usually is available to purchase and you can find a used copy. So I'll put a link below that can help you get started finding that. It's a wonderful album and it's very inspiring. Okay, the standard group that would play in a forró ensemble would have three instruments. Instrument number one would be the zabumba, which is this guy right here. Okay, this kind of bass drum here. The next instrument we would have would be the triangle, and then the third player would be the accordion, and that's what we're going to put the vibraphone to use as today. The zabumba part here is going to have a dead stroke on the downbeat, and then on the fourth 16th note of the beat, one E and is going to have an open stroke. And then on the opposite side of the drum, you're going to use your other hand to just play upbeats. For the triangle part, we're going to play straight 16th notes, and the first two 16th notes are dampened. We're holding the triangle like this, and the next two are open, and I take my fingers off. In these ensembles, typically the triangle is larger than this. This is my standard kind of symphonic triangle. You typically see one bigger, and you never see a clip. It's always done this way. Now, let's hear that whole thing with the chords included. One thing I hope you notice is that they were all dominant seventh chords, and that is very common in the Baião style. This style usually uses the Mixolydian scale, which is like a major scale with a flat seven, or a lot of times the Lydian dominant scale, which is a mixture of both Mixolydian and Lydian, which means you have the flat seven and the sharp four. So everything we do today will be dominant sevenths because that's the most common thing you will hear. Now let's hear that vibraphone pattern one more time without all the other stuff so you can hear exactly what's happening. All right, now it's time to add a bass line. A lot of times on the bass line to this, what we'll do is we'll take that last upbeat on the end of two from the underside of the zabumba here, and we'll throw that in the bass line as well. So we'll have three notes in the bass line. Da, 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 da. And what we'll do is we'll do root, fifth, and seventh. And I decided to try something here. This sample is going to start on a D7 and it's going to be 4 bars long, and we're going to go all through all 12 keys on this sample bass line. I thought it would be helpful maybe to have a play along that you could do all the different variations in every key on. So I'll put a chapter marker so you can jump back to this to use it as a play along, and I'll put one at the end as well, so if you want to skip listening to this whole thing and get on with the patterns, you can do that. Now that we understand the bass line, we're going to play the bass line and the chords together. Our first version of that will be playing the same bass line we just did, but our right hand is now going to play dead strokes on the thirds and sevenths. And our last variation is going to be a particularly drummy one, and that's going to be, we're going to have our bass line in our left hand, and our right hand is going to fill in every 16th note that we're not playing with our left. Kind of a standard drumline fill-in exercise almost. We're still doing dead strokes in our right and still doing thirds and sevenths. I did make one adjustment to the bass line and just use the root and fifth because we already have enough seventh going on in the right hand. As far as other resources, we can go with the same three books we mentioned before: Brazilian Grooves for Guitar from Zé Paulo Becker, Inside the Brazilian Rhythm section from Nelson Faria, and the Brazilian Guitar Book, also from Nelson Faria. In addition to that, I'm going to put links to the artist I mentioned before, as well as some other artists, including a couple of my own recordings, so that you can listen to more Baião. It's not as ubiquitous as some of the other styles we've covered. It's probably helpful to do a little bit of extra listening on this one. Okay, I hope that helps. If you have any questions, let me know. If you found this informative or entertaining or anything, please give it a like and subscribe and share it with other people so I know that people are interested in all these styles. I find them really fun. Our next video is going to be on choro, which should be really enjoyable. That's a great style and lots of fun stuff to explore there. Don't forget to head to my website, ericmartinpercussion.com, where you can find all of my sheet music and everything. And if you buy something, it helps me keep making these videos and keep the lights on here. Thanks so much for watching.